No joke. I just growed a beard. In real life. No joke. I growed a beard.
Hey guys, it's Reese here again.
I like all those turtles from our pond. I wasn't going to cry.
And I am toy hunting.
And welcome to my channel. Here at the Ozark YouTube scrap. Welcome. This is Growing Up in Another Time, and tonight we have Mickey from Critter Creek, and I'm so excited to have him. I just want to welcome everybody in, and I'm going to just say hi to you all. Canadian Family Life, Jan from Simply Jan Homestead, Butler Family Farm, and Tiffany, Langley's Build a Homestead, and Heather, My Alabama Life, Kathleen, and we have Adrian from Indiana Backyard Gardener. And let me see. Trying to do this without hiding these comments. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and bring Mickey up, and I'm so excited to have him here. We've been chatting a little bit, but here he is, and welcome, Mickey. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great, and you?
I'm doing great. I'm so excited to have you here. Hi,
Well,
Susan.
I'm excited to be here. It's a little after my bedtime, but that's okay.
Yeah, 8 o'clock. It's like sometimes that's my bedtime too.
Well, yeah.
Rebel Canners, hi everyone, everybody. Welcome. So how I'm going to do this, Mickey, is I'm just going to ask you a few questions, and about 10 minutes in, we'll stop and look at some of the chats, and then we'll continue, and then stop and look at some of the chats and continue, okay?
Yeah, I'm going to try to behave tonight and not give 2 hour answers to a 5-second question.
I don't know if you folks are all subscribed to Critter Creek. You need to go over there and subscribe if you're not. He has an awesome channel. He's one of the most talented men that on YouTube, and you just have to go over and check out his channel and see what I'm talking about. And I'm going to let him introduce himself and tell a little bit about himself to start. So go ahead, Mickey.
Well, I'm Mickey, and have a channel. It's Critter Creek USA. But I've about come to the conclusion I'm kind of more of a viewer and a fan of other channels than I am a content creator. But for my channel, it's all working towards trying to get an animal rescue open out in the country. And I guess what I am is a cartoonist. Uh, I give all glory to God, and He just lets me hold the crayons. And when He does that, I kind of draw cartoons of all you guys. But
And we love you. We love you. You do such an incredible job. And tell us a little bit about the animal rescue you want to open up.
Okay, before that, I'd like to say hello to everyone in the chat. I can't really see it too well. I can see kind of when it's highlighted. And so I say hi to Jan, but hi to everyone in the chat, okay? I've been, there's a lot of things that I have passion for. Country life is mainly the thing. I don't do well in the city. Too much spare time on my hands. It's too noisy. I'm a country boy by birth and by choice. And I just love the country. Well, along with that, I guess, is that my greatest passion in life would be God, my children, my family, and then critters. I'm a critter fanatic, and through life, I've developed the ability or given the talent, is the way I see it, that to work with animals, more so dogs than anything. But my dream is to open an all animal rescue in the country, and so I continually search for pieces of property that would be sufficient to that. And the longer it takes me to find that property and to get that move made, then I've noticed I get a day older every day. And so my dream, starting about I don't know, 2.5, 3 years ago, was to I designed it all up on a computer, and I had it. And of course, Critter Creek is my business name. It's licensed and registered and trademarked and all that kind of stuff. It was Critter Creek Ranch and Rescue, and that's what it's trademarked under. And because that was my goal, but it's taken me a little bit longer. There's been setbacks. Everyone knows we went through a virus thing and all that kind of stuff. And my mother took sick, and so I had to move kind of closer to her so that I could do her grocery shop and take care of her and everything. I did end up finding her deceased on her floor. She didn't answer her phone on grocery day, and so I found her, and that was a setback of its own, a deep setback. And so things kind of always kept getting pushed back, and then I got real sick about 2 years ago, I guess. So that set it back a ways, and then my eyesight started to go away, and so then I wasn't able. I mean, I had a license and stuff. I just didn't think it was safe for me to get out there and drive. So I had to start getting toted around, and got a new set of glasses. I called them my new set of eyes, but it didn't last long. It just has continued to go downhill from there. And so, it's surgery time, but I got more faith than common sense. And
that's what we have to have, huh?
Well, I do. And so I still believe that myself and Harley, my little miniature schnauzer, we still believe we're going to walk the grounds of Critter Creek someday. We're going to pull off our boots, and he's going to put his little fuzzy feet and paws in the creek, and we're going to sit there and do us a little fishing, and hopefully Oh, well, I said I was getting older and older, and I had designed up this whole place. Well,
Yeah.
the older you get, you have to, I mean, your hopes are you're going to get a little wiser. And it takes me a while. I was born in Muleshoe, Texas, and it takes about a mule to kick me in the head before I can see clearly. And I've come to realize that the infrastructure, just for the simple country life, let alone a rescue, a lot of it needs to be there when I get there. I can build anything I can see in my imagination.
Mhm.
It just seems to take me longer these days to get stuff done.
Yeah.
So I've had to revamp my search to where it has a little infrastructure in place when I get there, because you got to have a place to park a tractor.
Yeah.
Got to have. I still love to ride my quads and off road mudding and stuff. So you kind of got to have a place to get that inside and to work on them. You got to have a place to work on your woodworking projects. I do chainsaw carving. I do just a little bit of anything that'll make $10 to put in the bank to try to get a rescue open someday. Because that's the ultimate goal. I have written a business plan. It is a lot of it's proprietary.
Yeah.
It's stuff that's not done, and it's basically about rescuing dogs. But it's an all animal rescue. I've done that from horses, pigs, goats. If you ever go to my channel and look up at the header, there's me kissing about, I don't know, 30, 40 different species of critters. I'm not afraid to work with anything but primarily dogs and cats.
Yeah.
My goal is just to find the ornery ones that are in shelters
Yeah. Yeah.
that probably don't have a very good outlook.
Yeah.
And to bring them to my rescue, and then to begin to assess them, do
Yeah.
behavior assessments on them, and I write training programs for their specific needs. The ultimate goal is to give them a better opportunity to find forever homes.
Yes.
There's going to be some ornery ones that come down the pike. We all know that. There's ornery people like me. And there's ornery critters. And so then in that case, it would be able to provide a home that's safe for all the other animals, but safe for them, where they can continue to get love and continue to be getting proper exercise, not locked up in a little pen. You can't do that in the city.
Yeah.
Not the way that I have to do that with those type of animals.
Yeah.
You got to have room, because the first thing you can do, if you can ever tire an animal out, then you can begin to talk to them.
Yeah.
And you can begin to teach them. And I'm just not someone that likes to spank, hit, yell, scream. I think I'd rather earn a dog's trust, show them what it feels like to be loved and to show love. And from that, they begin to learn to bond with humans, sometimes again.
Yeah.
And find them a pathway to a home. If not, then maybe I'll have that same place that me and Hardy will give them a place to run, as long as they don't try to get in with him. But
What a wonderful, wonderful dream. I mean, that is just, you're a man after my own heart.
well, your family is after my heart, because I watch your videos, and there's ducks here, and there's chickens there, and there's your dogs are amazing.
Oh, my
So,
dogs are my babies.
Yep. Although I don't think I've ever had a pasture that looks quite as nice as y'all's, but but maybe it's because I never stayed in one place long enough to groom it. What do you think?
I don't know. It's funny because this was a horse farm when we bought it, and it had a horse barn, and we had sheep, and we don't want a horse because we don't want to have to take care of a horse. I love horses, but I just too much, with everything else. And yeah, so the pasture looks nice because Kentucky tends to make their fences that way and pastures that way. There you see a lot
Oh, well,
of those in Kentucky.
yeah, Kentucky is beautiful horse country,
Yeah.
and the agricultural folks in that area, in those areas, they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And that's half the battle in in creating something that looks the way your place does, which is what I want.
Yeah.
A paradise, walking trails that go through butterfly gardens. I want the animals to be able to smell.
You can go
And
walk down a
see,
cliff and go into the woods.
go into the creek.
Yeah.
Private lake wouldn't hurt. I mean, I keep seeing Jan in the chat, and I keep thinking, man, if I could just get that husband of hers and your husband come visit me at my new Critter Creek, us three guys could sit there on the corner of that private lake and fish for a while.
Oh wow. Yeah. Yeah. Let me stop and say hi to
Yeah.
anybody new who's come in.
Hang on, let me get the duct tape. I'll shut my mouth.
Oh no. Christy and who else did I see? I saw Christy, Canadian Family Live.
Canadian Family Live. Robin Hood Homestead. If y'all want to know what I'm doing, I'm leaning all the way up the screen here. Hi, Jan.
Okay,
yep.
I think
Milk and Honey Heritage Farms. Yeah.
Yeah, Jan said, we'll be there.
Saying hi to Milk and Honey Heritage Farms, Robin Hood, Canadian Family Life, Christy Betts. Hey, I'm just pretending I can read.
That's good. You can probably read better than me.
Did I see my Alabama Farm Life? There's my sister, Simply Jan Homestead. Okay. Christy Betts, yeah. Oh, there's Jerry Butler. Oh, no, that's probably not Jerry, but anyway, there's the Butlers. All right. No.
Yep. So tell me, what kind of an environment did you grow up in? Was it the country or was it the city or?
Well, let me tell you the name of the town and you answer that.
Okay.
I grew up in Muleshoe, Texas.
Okay.
Population 234.
Yeah.
Until it was picking season. And then all the family would come home.
Oh wow.
Had my mom and dad, my dad had 13 brothers and 2 sisters. And each one of the families of the 15 had kids, and the average set of kids, there was 4 of us, 1 brother and 2 sisters, and that's about the average of those 15 families had about that many kids. So during farming season, no matter where you moved off to, the rule was when it was harvesting time, everybody had to come back to Muleshoe. Yeah. And population doubled when the Pierces showed up. Yeah. So I grew up in West Texas, tumbleweeds, and we went swimming in cleachy pits.
Oh yeah.
If you don't know what that is, just check it out. But yeah, we were country. Now we lived on the right side of the track, though, I'm telling you. My granddad owned a automotive shop and record automotive shop. So I learned my skills and passion for muscle cars growing up in the 60s there.
Oh, yeah.
And my dad ran the shop after my papa did. And that man would take a wrecked Corvette and a El Camino and put them together and make a El Corvette. And it just... my dad taught me so much about, well, let me say that I sat and watched him and learned about all that stuff. But small country town, and they decided they wanted something bigger and better. Plus, they were having a hard time feeding 4 kids in West Texas in the late 60s. So they moved us to Norman, Oklahoma. I don't know how
I know Norman, Oklahoma, because some of my father's family's from there.
Yeah, that's where the University of Oklahoma is.
Yeah.
But it didn't look like it does now.
No. Yeah.
It
didn't look
was
like it then either when he
it was
lived.
a big city, but we still had 1-lane roads here in Norman
Yeah.
when we moved here. And then he worked here and eventually worked his way up to the top of some companies. And then next thing you know, he owned his own carpet laying and business. And then he owned carpet stores and carpet and tile stores and interstate transport business for carpet linoleum. And
Wow.
so Dad built his own little carpet empire here called Carpet City. And it was big. They had several stores. But the minute I got old enough to gone, I was gone. I was married before I was out of high school. I had to sit and wait. My dad had to sign for me to get in the military. My dad had to sign for me to get married. Well, yeah, he signed for me to get married. Then my wife, who was older than me, signed for me to get in the military. So, but anyway, I wanted out of Norman.
I haven't heard that one before. I've heard a lot, but not that.
That's a true
That's a
story.
good one.
She was a couple years older than me, and I just graduated high school. Was on the delayed enlistment program for the military, and I got married between my junior and senior year. And well, he said I was too young to get married, and so we had this big fancy 2-story house, and all that stuff. And I just lowered all my furniture and clothes and everything out the back window, and then carried it around, put it in my pickup truck, and drove it off. I went and got me an apartment, and so I could get married to this girl. And he was a preacher. He was a preacher. So I went to his office, and I said, I'm either going to live in sin, or you can sign for me to get married. I was playing on that old preacher man strings, So he signed for me to get married, and then I turned around and I graduated high school. Still wasn't old enough to go to into the military, but my wife signed me up. I think she's ready to get rid of me. I just didn't realize that. She's ready for me to go. She's ready for me to go away to basic training and tech school for about 6 to 9 months.
That's funny.
But I had to get out of Norman. My goal was to get back in the country, but then I signed up for the military, and they sent me to. Well, I was so country and so ignorant. When I got my first duty assignment after tech school, they said they were going to send me to the United Kingdom, and I thought that's where Mutual of Omaha was at. I thought that was where Mutual of Omaha Wild Kingdom was. They said the United Kingdom, and I was going like lions and tigers and bears. Oh my! I was so scared. I went and told my wife. I said they're going to send me to the United Kingdom. I'll never be able to get my family over there to the lions. And she goes, "You idiot! That's Europe. That's England." So, she decided to stick with me another couple of years after she found out she got to go live in England. But
welcome, Shelley.
Anyway, I always knew that I was going to get back to the country, and so I went ahead and while I was in the service, bought a big piece of property and stuff next door to her parents.
Yeah.
If you look back at all the mistakes you made in life. But
I know.
Anyway,
I think that's why God told Lot's wife, and Lot and them not to look back.
Yeah. I think that's what he told my ex. Just don't look back. Just go.
Yeah.
I mean, when I say I'm country, I'm not even kidding. That just like I've lived in like the desert because there wasn't no people around in a tent. I lived in a cave. That's why I think I was so drawn to your channel. I
so appreciate that. That's so neat.
I
Tell me
traveled
about
around. Had an old Harley Davidson that kept falling apart, and I ran up and down the highway. Ended up in a cave in West Virginia. Till the mountain man just almost shot me.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I didn't see anybody for 3 and 4 days, and I didn't, I'm too ignorant to realize people own all that land and they cut it for timber.
Yeah.
They run me off that mountain so fast.
What was it like living in the cave?
I loved it. I got lost the first time I started exploring it.
Mm-hmm.
And you go way down that mountain, and there was a little store right on the road. It's in West Virginia. And so I thought, I know how to solve this getting lost in the cave business. So I went down that mountain. Took me all day to get down there, or half a day to get down there. I went in there, bought me a whole bunch of beer, put it in my military duffel bag that I had,
Yeah,
and spent the other half of the day going back up to that cave I'd found. And so I set that cold beer outside that cave the next morning, and I went exploring that cave because I knew for one thing for sure, if I knew there was a 6-pack of cold beer sitting outside that cave, I'd never get lost. I found my way back to it. But no, it was awesome. It was awesome till that she-bear showed up.
yeah.
And then after that, I realized real quick it was you don't play with the cub. Okay,
Yeah.
I don't care. Yeah, I don't care how much you like critters. You see a baby cub playing. There's a mama bear somewhere nearby. She chased me off the mountain faster than the mountain folk did.
Wow.
Anyway, it was fun. It was exciting. And I ended up staying in West Virginia quite a while, just not up in that man's cave. He did become a good friend, and you're really in the thick of it when your best friend's name is Bear Dog. I don't know if the man ever had a real name or not, but that's what he called himself. And he stood about 6'5", and didn't shoot me.
That's awesome.
So I just called him Bear Dog too. That's what he called himself.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's pretty much country. It's a magnet for me. I don't survive well in the city, ma'am.
I don't either. I don't either. Yeah. So what were some of your most favorite memories growing up when you were, say, between the ages of 1 and 10?
Well, I loved family, okay? And like I said, between 1 and 10, I was in Millshield. We moved about the time I hit first grade, so I don't know how old I was then. But I loved family. My favorite memories was the food, okay? Grandma Pierce, oh my goodness. You could come from the shop or the fields, because we grew a lot of gardens and stuff like that. And when you were a kid in the country, there wasn't no free rides. You're gonna get a good dinner, but you probably gonna have to go pick part of it.
Yeah.
And fried chicken. I could come back from the field or the shop and or playing with my cousins, but I could tell what was for dinner. But if it was fried chicken or chicken fried steak and okra, I could smell it before I ever opened the gate to the yard. Pancakes and flapjacks is what we call them, but in the mornings and that syrup, they made it.
Yeah.
The eggs, the bacon, the sausage, all right there.
Yeah.
All right there on the homestead. And homesteading wasn't so cool back then.
Yeah, I never heard the term when I was growing up. I just thought that was life.
Yeah, and we of course we're in Millshield.
Yeah.
And you plow with mules. So I didn't know what a horse was like.
Yeah.
But I ran away from home one time and I stole Papa's mule and saddled him up. And now I don't know this to be a fact, but when I finally turned him around and brought him back, I said, "Was y'all worried?" you know. And he said, no, Papa said just let him go. He'll ride for 2 days before he ever gets off the property here. he'll get hungry for some fried chicken and okra before leaving. But it was country life. But my favorite memories was family, and the cooking, and because it was all a part. You didn't. It's like all the family that lived in that area. They came over. We ate together as big families.
Yeah.
And all the ladies were responsible for keeping the men out of the kitchen. Okay, it wasn't that men were like, "Oh, you go do the cooking, honey." That's not like, no, they didn't want you in their kitchen.
Yeah.
But I could see them all on the couch in my mind right now, snapping peas. You know, and I like that. When I had my last place in the country, it was big. It was I worked it. It was not too far away from that groom look you had there.
Yeah.
But the Pearsons, there's a lot of them, you know. So I would host the family reunion there, and still my aunts, you know, and my cousins. And some of the male cousins, we was all in there snapping beans on the couch and shucking corn, and that's my memories were family.
I remember a lot of those days. I was snapping beans and shucking corn days.
I remember when I found out where that fried chicken came from. I couldn't. Okay, every country lady that might be in the chat, or you, okay, you tell me if you've even come close to doing this. And I'm sure a lot of the men have too, but I'm petrified of these animals, so I'm not going to say if I did it or not. No, I didn't. I ran. I come in from the shop one day. I was out there. I was a busy kid. Let's put it that way. I like to go and find things and build things out of them. But so they would give me tasks like counting the nuts and the bolts.
Yeah.
Shelves of nuts and bolts. And they said, I need to count on those. Anyway, I come in from counting nuts and bolts one day. I opened that front gate up, and this rooster come at me. He was coming. He had them spurs in the air. I don't know what. It wasn't no different than any other day. And I remember screaming and like I was falling backwards, and I saw his hand snatched by my grandma. She was about 5'1", sweetest thing I never heard her say anything but bless you, child. She had snatched that rooster by the neck, snapped his head, and she had half the feathers off of him before she hit the kitchen. I don't know how I never connected that fried chicken I love so much with where it came from. But two things were for certain. I never looked at a fried chicken the same way after that.
Yeah.
And I never trusted a rooster. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
She'd say, you need to go out and get the eggs this morning if you want to have some eggs. I'm like, I don't think so. She goes, don't worry about old Ben. He gone. And still today, I'm still more scared of roosters than I am rattlesnakes. And that's a fact. I go out there and pin one of them rattlesnakes down and pick him up and look at him and all this kind of stuff. He's listening to him rattle. That doesn't seem to bother me. You asked me to go out there and gather eggs in an area that's got a rooster in there, and I'm going to be finding out 7 kinds of excuses why I'm not going to do that.
Wow. Yeah, I'm not too. I grew up some in Washington State in the Columbia Basin, and they have a lot of rattlesnakes, probably like Texas. And it's all desert area, and I was scared to death of rattlesnakes.
I've never been afraid of them. Plus, I'm going to tell you this. I mean, I love animals, okay?
Yeah.
But I like bacon too. and fried chicken. And cheeseburgers and steaks. So I'm not one of those I love animals to the point where I'm gonna go protest in front of somebody's house that's fixing to do a butcher job, you know. One of my favorite things to make in the country is I like to grow anything that I don't have to water and keep alive.
Yeah.
So I'd have like wild onions
Yep.
and some lettuces that just kind of kept coming back. I never had to do anything with them. I grew cantaloupes, and so I love to go out in the morning, cut one, and have it for breakfast. But what I would do is I like what I call wildlife shish kebabs over the fire. So I'd go out and find me a rattlesnake. And I know people just think this is just old man telling stories. It's just the truth.
Oh, it happens.
I'd go out and find a wildlife, a little bit of wildlife, whatever I can find. Okay?
Yep.
Might be a squirrel, but I always like to include, rattlesnake. And I'd take him down a shop and hide him and salt up that hide and put it up to save it and preserve it and make a hat or something out of it and keep a rattle and put it on my trophy wall. Then I'd take that meat and I would cube it up.
Yeah.
And then I might have that day, it might be wild onions and rattlesnake and whatever else that lived through my terrible gardening. It might be a tomato on there. Who knows?
Yeah.
Then might be a little squirrel. Then there might be some catfish. Whatever I can get in
Whatever
there.
you could find, yeah.
I wasn't going to stick a grasshopper on there, but I mean, if they were meat, and sometimes it was just rattlesnake. And then I would season it up, which I don't know anything about seasoning. I just poured a bunch of stuff on it and put it out over the fire. Built me up a little fire and loved it. It probably tastes like garbage, but it didn't to me,
Yeah. I want to ask the chat, how many of you have ever eaten rattlesnake? I've eaten it because people do it all the time where there's a lot of rattlesnakes. So
Christy says she hates snakes
now, but I've eaten it before. What's that?
Christy says she hates snakes.
Yeah, I see. If you've tried rattlesnake before, post it in the comments.
Oh, there's a Butler has.
Yeah.
I figured Butler has.
Yeah.
Wildlife shish kebabs.
Oh, Adrian
I
has
used
some
to do roadkill shish kebabs. No, and I'm not kidding. I'm not.
Wow.
Kidding. But because fish and game. See, because the animals that I was rehabbing for the state of Oklahoma, fish and game would bring me wild, hit, things that got hit on the highway. So I would do wildlife shish kebabs, but they were roadkill shish kebabs.
It's creative, right?
It wasn't because I had to.
Yeah.
It wasn't because they were really like something that sticks in my mind as being good. It's just the way I don't like things to go to waste.
We have wild onions growing in our yard all over the place. We always do. It smells like salsa when you cut the grass. Yeah,
you can tell a story these days, Linda, and people goes, now you got to be really careful, and you because some of this and this and this and this and this. I thought, man, I don't know where you grew up.
Yeah.
If it grew, we ate it. Sometimes you got sick and sometimes you didn't. But all this, you can die from eating those kind of berries. Well, I don't know. Maybe I got lucky. But I'm gonna tell you what, I didn't grow up in a place to where or I didn't live in fear. I was raised in a pretty vocal, God-fearing environment, and we learned from our youth to walk by faith.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you use your common sense, obviously.
You just never thought about it. You just didn't
Well,
think about it.
you use common sense.
Yeah.
Okay. It's like you catch a rattlesnake and you can cut his poison part out pretty easy, and then dice up the rest of the meat, and you can eat that. You don't stick your finger in his mouth, you know, even after you cut it off. You know, I mean, that common sense.
Yeah.
But okay, you know, it's like, ask yourself, if you had a little squirrel, he could be cute, but he could be tasty. You know, you would probably, if you lived in the country, you're not going to drive to Walmart, you know, and so you kind of experimented with what nature gave you. And I always kind of figured it like this. If it smelled like a skunk, I probably wasn't going to eat it. You know, but I was pretty much willing.
Yeah.
You know, willing to try critters. You know. Anyway, I hear all these people. You know, well, this is in this, and that's in this, and that's in this, and you shouldn't do this, and you should do that. And I'm like, man, I'm way over 60. I'm living on God's time, okay?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna walk around worried all the time. And
welcome, Trey. I just want to say welcome in.
It's like, here's this soda. It tastes great.
Yeah.
Now, am I supposed to turn that around and read all the ingredients on it?
That'll kill you.
and then Google it. Well, somebody got to write the answers on that Google thing. If it says it's bad for you, I'm guessing it's somebody that doesn't want soda pop sold. If it's something that says it's great for you, I'm guessing it's one of the soda pop companies. I'm just going to drink it if I don't die, you know. Then I'm going to say, well, it tastes good or it tastes bad.
Yeah, tastes good.
It was a different time when we grew up, you know.
It really was, and that's why I like, you know, that's why I named the channel Another Time. In this series, I wanted to do this particular series talking about living in another time or growing up in another time, what it was like, because it's so different today. It's so very different.
I think I saw old Trey I guess it's Trey, and he said rattlesnake is good.
Yeah.
Hello, if that's Trey or Jessica, either one, hi to you. It's probably Trey. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't eat all those things anymore, but you know, I've tried a lot of it. And
I do when I'm out in the country. If I go fishing, okay, I don't want to go back up the house because usually it's about 30, 40 acres away. And when I get out there, if I see me a snake, I'll have a little fishing snake for dinner. You know, if I could grow lemon trees, I'd probably squeeze a little lemon on it, but I can't grow them. So, you know, I love that life. And that's when I say country life, that's what I mean. I like to live off the land. I didn't know enough about gardening. I've learned a lot from this community, actually.
Yeah.
I still kill everything I try to grow on purpose. But if I go out there in the country on my property, I'd roll it up, you know. I knew what was in that dirt.
Yeah.
Because I put it there.
Exactly.
You know, and so I just go out there, I'd roll it up and and run a harrow through there and make a little harrow, and I just throw the seeds in there, go through and kick the dirt on them, and try to remember to water them.
Did you see Christy's comment?
No, what did she tell me I was crazy?
No, she's. I put it up on the screen. I don't know if you can read it.
That is funny.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, but I'm kind of with your little sister. I'd have probably thought the same thing. But I've raised alligators for the state of Oklahoma. Rehabbed them, got them big and healthy, but never ate one. I got to say. I've tried it. I I was
It was
wondering
good,
about
but
that.
I just don't eat a lot of things anymore. So
You see what Trey wrote?
no, what'd he write?
We eat alligator, rattlesnake, and frogs all down here in Louisiana. I was
Yeah.
wondering about that. I love frog legs. I forgot to mention them, but I got a YouTube's coming out. I don't know, a couple of days from now. I just Trade. Make sure you keep an eye out, or I'll send you a notice or something about that because it's funny. It's funny. Yeah, there's a channel I ran across, and she was getting ready to do frog legs. I got all skinned and put on a plate, and she went over there to grab that frog leg to start, and she dropped that first drop of salt on there. I know Trey knows exactly what that means. That frog, it didn't have a head, it was cleaned. That thing went to kicking and jumping, and then every one of them on the plate did. She screamed and took off running. I laughed at that video almost as hard as I did Trey's daughter trying to ride that cow that day.
Oh. So what were some of the other things you did growing up?
Oh, it was. I was an entrepreneur, Linda. I mean, I didn't know that's what it was called. I just thought it was making money so we could go across the tracks to Piggly Wigglies, and get candy.
Yeah.
So I started my own business. I started a rodeo business when I think I was in the first grade. No, I wasn't in first grade yet. But anyway, they moved us to Oklahoma and I was bored. We didn't have no critters. So I started me a business. I decided to open a rodeo. And I went along and borrowed all the dogs in the whole neighborhood. There was St. Bernards. There was Chihuahuas. Everybody had a dog in their backyard. It ended up in mine. And I put saddles on the St. Bernards, and I had all these events. I made up posters, roping the Chihuahua posters and riding the St. Bernard posters. And I advertised it. I went around and put the signs on the doors. Now, as an adult, so you've already got this figured out where this has ended up, probably in juvie hall. but as a kid, I figured out a way to make some money. Yeah. So the poster said it cost $5 to get into the canine rodeo. Okay. Or it cost 5 cents. I said $5. 5 cents to get in the canine rodeo. So I stood at the gate wearing my red cowboy hat and plastic guns and holsters, and charged all the kids in the neighborhood. And there was a bunch of them 5 cents. Okay. And then I said, now, who wants to try the St. Bernard bronking contest? And a bunch of the redneck boys stuck their hands up in there. And I said, it's only 25 cents to enter, and you win $1 if you win. And everybody want to win $1. So 7 or 8 of them kicked in the quarter and put it in a pot, and then one that stayed on the longest won $1. I made $1 profit, didn't have to do nothing. We roped, and about that time the Norman PD showed up. And look up, and there's two people in the backyard, 2 officers, and said, excuse me, son, are you running this show? I said, yeah, but it's a nickel to enter. Anyway, I was being, I guess you call it babysit by my older sister. And by this time it was about 11 o'clock in the morning, which I was good. I knew I had to have the rodeo by noon because she never got out of bed until noon. But they knocked on the door, and so I'm standing on the front porch with 2 police officers, and she come to the door screaming, who's banging on the door? My older sister was a sweetheart, but she had a way about herself. She ended up working on that police department one day. But anyway, they told her that I had dog napped all the dogs in the neighborhood. And so she called my parents, and of course they were business owners in town. And they came home. Well, my mom came home. And that was worse than if my dad did. So anyway, they ended up making me take all the dogs back, make an apology, and then restitution. I had to clean up poop in the backyard for, now wait, this is a good story. I had to clean up poop in the backyard for all those people for a whole week. That was my community service, I guess it would be, restitution or whatever you call it.
Yeah.
I ended up getting like 13 jobs out of that cleaning up poop.
Well, that was good.
After my restitution was made. So I had a whole poop scooping business by the time that I turned 10, I think. And it seemed like I've been cleaning up messes ever since. Yeah, I like to start business. I started a amusement park one time. And my brother and my brother he's my baby brother, but he's 6'6", and he barely still talks to me.
Adrian said you're hired.
he'll look at me and say, "I just can't believe I survived my youth." Because I had all these ideas and I want to start these businesses, but I built a roller coaster off the house with 2x4s and a red wagon. And I kind of thought it was going to go south, you know. But I talked him into getting into it. I had to give him one of my G.I. Joes, my little toy soldier dolls. I had to give him one to hop in that wagon. And I said, I'm not going to let you get killed, you know. So I took the garden hose and tied it through his back belt loop. And that way, if the wagon missed the 2x4s off the house, he wouldn't fall and die. Because I figured I would really get restitution for that one. But I sent him off the house. Oh, I tied that garden hose to the pipe that was coming out the ceiling. Anyway, we did miss the 2x4s. It snapped his belt loop, snapped the pipe out, which let smoke start going all in the house and stuff.
Oh, no.
And he landed in the bushes, thank for goodness. I had enough common sense to run that over the bushes so he'd land in there if he missed. He lived, but I didn't walk again, very comfortably. That wasn't in the days where if you spanked your kids, then they could file a complaint on you. Oh no.
Yeah.
and that one wasn't even the worst. There was a I'll make this quick. I know you. There was a construction company building houses in a new neighborhood on down the ways, and I used to go down there, and you know those the roof rafters or the eaves, you know. I used to go up there, and when they had them all bundled together, they put them upside down.
Yeah.
And you know how tall those things are.
Yeah.
And I would get all the kids in the neighborhood, and it took 3 or 4 of us to run up there, and it would tilt to go down. Anyway, well, it turned over one day sideways, and I hit the ground, and I couldn't breathe, and there was some kid, I don't know who he was. If I ever find him again, I'm going to tell him he's the reason I live. He's pumped. He had me on my back, pumping my legs this way until I don't know what he did, but he jump-started something I could breathe. And all I could think about was when I looked up, I saw this yellow, little bitty miniature tractor there. That's all I could think about when I woke up. Well, come to find out, it was an early model Bobcat skipper. And I thought, if I could get that started.
I know.
Listen to my logic here. I thought, I bet my parents would love a swimming pool in the backyard. So I go over and I'm just checking this thing out, and all these tractor folks in here going to tell you this is the truth. Back then, all you had to do is press a button.
Yeah.
You know, pretty much. Well, this one anyway. So I pressed the button and it started, and I thought, oh no. I got me a new love of life, man. If it sounds like that, I gotta have one.
You gotta have one.
But I'm only gonna borrow it, and I don't want to get in trouble and have to pay restitution. You know, so instead of like when I borrowed the dogs for the dog rodeo, I didn't leave a note. Well, on here I left a note and said I borrowed this. And now I may have lied about the rest of it. I said to dig my parents a swimming pool for their anniversary. And I stuck that up on a piece of fence there. And I drove that thing. It took me a while before I quit going in circles, and I could figure out how to get it. I drove it to the back fence, and I took down, it was a chain link fence, took it down and dug myself a swimming pool. After I got it about 4 foot deep, I took the bobcat back, and it wasn't a little swimming pool, okay? And put the fence back up, and I left the garden hose running in there to fill my.
I would have killed you.
Oh,
Can't even imagine.
Hey, if you think me telling this story is bad, you ought to hear my little Christian mother telling it. She said, and when she would say prayers, she'd say, "God, I'm so sorry for the words that I used when I was spanking Mickey the other night." I dug this swimming pool in the backyard about 4 foot wide and about 6 foot across. It was kind of sloped up because I couldn't figure out how to get the bobcat out of there.
Yeah.
Anyway, I dug that thing up, and about halfway it get filled up. It's about 2 foot deep. I started to think, I don't even really think my parents want a swimming pool. maybe I wanted it. Now I had my brother all excited, and so I had to have him get in the hole and dig a little bit just so he'd be guilty by association. So anyway, we found an old tarp. We decided to pull it across this hole. Okay. And
oh no.
My parents played dominoes. And you're from West Texas, you play dominoes.
Yeah.
They particularly played 31. And so anyway, they had all their church friends come over at night on a certain night to play dominoes. And they were in there, and I took all the church friend kids around the back to be quiet. We were all in there swimming under that tarp. And they heard us giggling out there, so Dad come out. Took about 5 steps into the backyard and hit that tarp. He went in. I'm going to tell you what, there was language coming out of that swimming pool that every one of the deacons in there playing dominoes. I know good and well that my dad and mother they're both passed now, and I know they're both in heaven because they didn't kill me. And once in a while, I pushed them up beyond the limits. But anyway, I think my memories of being a child was starting about 13 different kind of businesses.
Yeah. So what do you miss most from your childhood today?
Miss the most.
Of how things were then as opposed to how things are today.
Oh, you mean how things have changed?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's naivety or, just being, naive or whatever. Back then, when I was growing up, if you made somebody mad,
yeah,
they look you in the eyes, and they say, you may be mad, and here's the reason why.
Yeah.
And you say, well, either you say I'm sorry, or well, you deserved it, and then 2 men, and I'm not condoning this or I'm not condemning it, but 2 men, if they couldn't come to an agreement, all right, they'd roll their sleeves up, and when that was done, it was done, okay. But 9 times out of 10, a man will look you in the face and tell you the truth, and I miss the honesty.
The honesty, the integrity.
I miss not, I miss. I know because it was a small town, but I miss the. Well, no, because even when I moved to Norman, it was a bigger town, and my mother's family, which I haven't talked about, my grandparents lived in Norman, which ultimately I found out that's why we moved here. My grandfather was a union carpenter, then he started his own construction business. But the man, he wouldn't lie to you. If he messed something up or he went over a budget, he'd call you first and be honest with you and all those kind of things. Integrity.
Yep.
And if Papa told you something, or this would be Pop, if he told you something, you just knew it was honest. It's the way he
Yeah.
thought. It's the way he meant it. If you went down to the grocery store and they said, "Here's the price of it. I wish it could be cheaper," but I think they meant it. You know.
Yeah.
I miss the days when you could just believe.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you. I was just
Yeah.
talking about that to my son or daughter-in-law the other day. People today have is changed. The integrity for a lot of people is gone, you know, and it's nice when you find people that do have integrity.
Yeah, that's when I make a video and people say, or I'll say on the video, I'll say the only reason I made this video of these people is because I see in them certain things.
Yeah.
And usually I can just sum it up to the fruits of the spirit, you know, and that's the way, you know, patience and kindness and goodness and all that kind of stuff, even to the point of long suffering. That's the kind of people I grew up around. See, and I missed that. That's the reason when I got to an older stage in life, I had to make sure when my last property was gone that I made it back to the country. That's where I want to spend the rest of my life. And when I decided to start a YouTube channel, and I think this is a good place for me to shut up, is my goal was to search out a country life communities so I could make new friends. You don't want to be my age out in the country, you know, and don't, because most of what family I've got left, they city folk.
Yeah, I mean, you don't get a lot of visitors, and you end up spending your time talking.
Well, it's not. I like to build stuff.
Yeah.
You know, if I go to build a barn, and I fall off the roof, well, I just lay out there because half the time I can't figure out how to use these new fandangled phones. You know, so I wanted to build a community around myself. There's things that I don't know how to do. You know, I don't know how to face a rooster head to head. But I can barter. I'm gonna tell you what, I can barter. I'll make you a chainsaw carved bear look just like a bear.
I was just gonna ask about your chainsaw art.
Yeah, in exchange for you know, a dozen eggs once a month or something. You know, I mean, I'll do. See, that's the life that I miss. You asked the question. I miss country folks, small town, and you live out on the edge of it. And I miss going to the spud nut shop. I know people call it the donut shop. I miss going to those, and when you walk in, they call you by your first and middle name. You know, because they done heard your parents call you that one too many times.
I know. Linda Lou.
I miss Piggly Wigglies, you know. And I miss country folks. That way you see, I don't have a lot of common sense, all right? and I know that's going to come as a shock to anyone that's listening to this. but that a country friend, he'll just look at you and go, I wouldn't have done that. you know, he'll still hold your beer for you.
Dan's got a bedroom for you.
But nowadays, he'll just shoot a video of you and it'll go, you know, it'll go viral. But country folks, that's the reason that I wanted to try to be in the country community, the home. And it, you know, I found out what the term home. I didn't know what a homesteader was. You know, I didn't realize we were doing that back in the '60s. Back when it was just we were
I know, like it's something new.
We were just trying to eat. Back then, we called it damn. It's like, oh, damn. But anyway, we call it, you know, we call it life. We didn't know there was a difference, you know. But now they got a term for it, which is there's a term for everything, and
Yeah.
and I guess probably in today's day and age, I'd have 5 or 6 of those alphabetical labels. Attention deficit disorder, AD, whatever. I'd probably, if I went and saw a psychiatrist, oh man, they'd be going, "Oh, I'm gonna get rich off this one." I don't believe in all that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Either you're a bonehead or you're a bonehead. And I was a bonehead. Everything looked too colorful and too exciting, and I wasn't gonna wait and think out the consequences.
Yeah.
But I'm hard as nails. I could work with men or young men and 20 and 30 years old. They work for me. I used to say, now I'm getting old here, so y'all gonna pick up the pace. And they said, you got to quit calling yourself old. You can't call yourself old until one of us can outwork you. And yeah. Oh, wood carving. Oh, thank you, Jan. Jan will keep me in line. So you need to have her down here in the corner. Goes.
And Jerry will keep Jan in line.
Yeah. Okay. Chainsaw carving. Well, any kind of art, I love to do it. I guess my favorite is barn murals. I used to go through and if I wanted to go to anywhere, I wanted to go Branson, Missouri. I want to go see Silver Dollar City. I just worked my way there.
Yeah.
All it took was a paint bucket and, I'd paint barns. One of my all-time favorite, I told you I lived in the cave in West Virginia. Well, I went down to this little store, and it was close by, but because it was the only store within 5,000 miles, I guess, of the place, cold beer was not cheap.
Yeah.
Okay? Well, he had this thing standing up out in front of the corner of his store, and I said, "What's that coyote doing standing up out there howling?" He said, "That's a bar." I said, "That's a what?" He said, "That's a bar." I said, "No, a bar is where you go get a cold beer that doesn't cost you $6. He said, "No, a bear." And I said, "That ain't no bear. That's a coyote." I said, "I'll make you a deal." I said, "You got a chainsaw?" He said, "Well, yeah, there's 2 or 3 of them out there. We got to cut firewood up here. It gets cold in the wintertime." I said, "You got a file? Any kind of file where I can sharpen it?" He goes, "Well, it's sharp enough." I said, that ain't what I asked you. I said, "Okay, now do you got a place where I can get a tree about that big around?" He goes, "Yeah, but you can't go up there because they done run you off that mountain." I said, "Well, where do I go to get it? I'll talk my way in." He said, "Bear Dog has it." Anybody that's been listening to the chat already knows who Bear Dog is. Anyway, I had to go back up this mountain, and Bear Dog, I said, "I need a log. I'm going to carve a bar for. I want to carve a bar for old man Jack." He goes, "What makes you think I want to give you one of my logs?" I said, "I'll tell you what I'll do." I said, you give me that log, I'll go down there on the foot of your mountain and put a big sign up that said Bear Dog Sawmill. Sawmill up here." He goes, "You do that?" I said, "Yeah, give me a big saw blade. I'll paint the sign up, put it down there. You give me the log, I'll take the log down, I'll put it in front of Jack's store, carve a bear out of it." And I said, "Then I'll get free beer for about 6 months." And that's the way it worked. I've never carved anything. But what I can do is I design buildings that I want to build, barns and bridges and all that kind of stuff. Then I draw up blueprints, and I'll draw up the blueprint, and then I will bring it to scale. If I have any questions, I'll find an engineer, and then I'll bring it up, and then I'll actually get it blueprinted and certified. Then I can go and build it from that. I'll make my board counts, and I'll do it. Well, I figured that chainsaw carving had to be about the same. I knew how to run, a chainsaw, and so I could draw in my mind. I could look at the front of that thing and take the bark off, draw the face of a bear. then I could turn him around and draw the side profile. Then turn him around, draw a butt end and a cute little tail, turn him around and draw the opposite of what I did on the other side.
Yep.
Drew it like that, and I just started taking away what I didn't want to keep. Anything I cut off that was a oops, I just had some wood glue there, and I'd glue it back on and keep going. And it looked like a bar. Jack was so impressed because what I did was I thought, if I took one of them old blow torches, I could burn some of this stuff and make it look black.
Yeah.
So I do that. I could do little fine hairline deals, and then I could actually probably go in there and get some bleach out from under the sink and bleach out some areas that turn white. Man, I had this bear looking like he was ready to. It had white teeth. I had everything. Wow. I had everything but ketchup coming out, dripping off its teeth. But it was so impressive. I started people driving by seeing it, want one.
Yeah.
And so I started the chainsaw carving business out of his garage. Well, out of the volunteer fire department there in the West Virginia mountains. They had a big space in there, so I just started carving wood carvings out of there. And the more I got into it, then I got Dremel tools and hand carving tools and but who was the old farmer who taught you how to do that? No, there wasn't an old farmer that taught me how to do that. I just started doing it. Now there were people who suggested, oh, boy, if you'd get one of those little Dremel tools, Dremel's what it ended up being. And I thought, well, yeah, because I already did wood burning portraits. I'd sketch somebody's portrait on there and I just would burn it, Yeah. And I'd make benches with these happy little couples and everything on them. But so I loved woodworking. But I was pretty much everything I've ever done, I was self-taught. And yeah, the chainsaw carving again, that was pretty much myself. I picked up, then, after I got into it and started selling some, once in a while you'd be at a state fair and there'd be a chainsaw carver there. So I would pick their brain, and there was an old boy that was there in Morgan, West Virginia. That man, dude was making winged eagles that absolutely looked like they could bite you. And so, I picked his brains and he told me about chainsaw, the bars that went to a point.
Oh, yeah.
They went, instead of being all the way the same way across, they go down to a point. And I thought, oh man, I can make some teeth with that. But I just developed my own method. Love to do it. Hey, it paid good money. I did not have to get a real job the whole time I was in West Virginia. I painted signs for people. I even opened a little T-shirt business there. But
how awesome! How awesome! Yeah. So, is there anything else you want to share about what it was like growing up in another time?
Nothing. I probably that anybody wants to listen to. The main thing is that I'm blessed. I'm blessed. I've got to see a full circle.
Yeah.
I've got to see when it was a goodness in the world, and then a non-acceptance of ignorance. There was farming, ranching, growing your own food, learning to preserve, all those kind of things, all the way around to fast food and all that kind of stuff, all the way around to where it's starting to get back the hope of goodness and kindness again. And people are really starting to move more so into the sustainable living and that kind of thing. So
yeah,
Jan, I bet you did, hon. Yeah, there's some craftsmen down there that I think they would mistake me for an Arkansas wood carver because I can carve with them, I promise you. But yeah, I've got 5 or 6 of them that I follow on YouTube.
Well, I'm getting a request to have you back for a part 2.
I'm sorry, folks. I didn't mean to talk so long. Hey,
No.
I did do
I mean, I'm
better.
serious. Would you like to come back for a part 2?
If anybody, if the chat was willing to listen to me, I'll come back.
Okay.
I'll sit and talk
Everybody
to
put
Linda.
one in there if you want Mickey to come back. Next week I have Milk and Honey Heritage Farms on. Ooh. She's going to talk about growing up in Alaska. But the week after that, if you want Mickey back, put a 1 in there. 1 in the chat.
I'm watching too.
There you go. Yes.
Hey, I don't hold it against anybody that doesn't want to listen to me.
Thumbs up, our Louisiana life. There you go. Yes. He said yes, part 2.
I'll come back sometime. Hey, look, I got through the whole night without drinking a cold beer. That's pretty good.
Hey, listen.
It wasn't hard. I try to make it sound worse than it is these days, but anyway.
I'm excited because I do want to have you back. Okay?
I'll try to. Hey, I'm getting better. Okay, every time that I'm allowed to do this on somebody's channel, then I'm learning temperance. Plus I'm getting kind of more comfortable with being able to see you and and listen to you. But I greatly appreciate the other night being invited to being a guest on live. And man, I rambled on and on and on. So you got the even better side of me. Next time I come back, I'm gonna ask you some questions.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
I love the questions.
I have enjoyed this so much, and it's been such a pleasure having you on here because you're just like I said, you could be my brother. Okay. Yeah. You really could be my brother. The way you grew up, the way you think about things and just want to go build stuff. And, that's me. I just want to, I'm just have to be outside. And so winter comes along and I don't like being stuck in the house. I don't like cold weather dictating that I can't go do something.
When I'm in the country, I'm sitting in the shop at 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm so excited about being up and what project. And I have one of those big chalkboards, and now they got dry erases and all. I have a big chalkboard I've been writing on for about 60-something years. And I'll think, here's what I should do, and I'll drink my coffee, and I'll figure out, watch the sun come up through the shop door. And by the time the sun gets up and I've drank a pot of coffee, then I'll figure out what I want to get into that day. And I'm a freelance graphic designer, so I can do that. And that's a blessing, okay? Because I can come back and cut off at 2 or 3 in the afternoon if I want to. If I don't want to, I can spend the weekend doing artwork, and it pays all right. And so I was able to live my dream, But we got to come full circle, Linda, and we've got to see it when there wasn't no phones, when there were phones that other people were on called party lines. Yeah, we got to see dial-up phones, computers the same way, technology the same way.
Young folks don't have a clue as what they've missed out on.
And it's sad to me, because everything got bright and sparkly and easier to get, and that's okay. I'm happy for them. My daughter, my baby daughter, I tell you today, if she's gonna go in a contest against any man that I've ever seen, okay, throwing 100-pound bales of hay, square bales, I'm betting on her. Okay, that girl, and I apologize to her, all the time. When they say the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, that girl right there, she's. I've seen it with my own eyes. She wanted me to hire her, and I said, "You got to go through the same process everybody else does." She flat out works every man, and she always telling me, "Pops," she said, "there's gonna come a day I'm still going to throw more hay, you know. And I said, well, you ain't done it yet, kid, you know. 5:30 in the morning, and I'm ready to see what the country holds. That's why I want to get back there, you know.
Yeah.
That's, you know, these people going, I'm sorry, these people, I'll hush. These people going to these gyms and paying money, you know. I'm telling you what, God Almighty built a gym out there, you know. And if you will go out and work out in his gym, you'll live to be 63 years old, telling cranky stories and still hoping for another 60, you know. I'm shooting for 120. So if YouTube sticks around, we'll see how close I get to 120 years old.
Yep.
I'm ornery. I'm cantankerous. I don't take a lot of advice. I don't do a whole lot of doctors, but I am going to get some eye surgery. Because I got a Dodge Ram that's dying for me to fire it up and take it around. So, you know, it's, but anyway, Ozark meetup.
Yeah, you'll be there.
Keep your eyes open on me there. That's my number one priority this year. I'm gonna try a 10 killer. I'm gonna try the Mid America, and I'm gonna try down there in Texas Pine Cone Fest. But Jan's meet up there at the Ozarks. That's my number one. If I can only go to one, that's where it's gonna be. Thank you for the invite.
Thank you, Mickey, and everyone go over and make sure, I know everyone here probably knows him, but make sure you're sharing him out and watching his videos. And yep, he's awesome.
Ma'am, Jan. Me and Linda was talking about that earlier. I said, I think heaven would look like me sitting there with your husband and her husband on the side of a private lake, just throwing the bait in the water. But anyway, in the chat, thank you very much for putting up with me this long. Don't hesitate to invite me on to your live.
I'm going to invite you for a week from now.
You're not busy. I'm just kidding. I've had so much fun with this, and I'd be glad to come back sometime whenever you can fit me in. Make sure you tell Richard I love him and that someday.
Yep, it'll happen. And I know he's
you tell Kevin the same thing. I know he'll just go, yeah, whatever. I've heard that before.
Well, thank you everyone for coming on, and we love you. And you have a great night, Mickey. I'm going to end this stream. So
love you guys.
No joke. I just got a beer. In real life. No joke. I got a beer.
Hey guys, it's Reese here again.
I like all those turtles from our pond. I wasn't going to cry.
And I am toy hunting.
and welcome to my channel. Here at the Ozark YouTube
scratch.